$200, a Super Nintendo setup costs twice as much as the old system. For the money, the company promises better pictures, sound, and adventure. Now you're playing with power, superpower. You're the king, I tell you! The king!
Only for Super NES.
Only on the Super NES.
You're listening to the SNES broadcast with your hosts, Soul Blazer and George.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, afternoon, evening, depending upon when you listen to this. Super NES Podcast, episode 109. We always appreciate you listening to the podcast. I am Greg. He is George.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need some WD-40.
That's pretty good, actually. Yeah, and it fits. This is... we're covering a very unique and interesting game in this episode, and one that actually has a pretty good story behind it, which I was pleasantly surprised to find out. This is a Patreon pick from one of our longtime supporters, Chad. So thank you again, Chad, for supporting the podcast and for giving us your pick of a game to cover. He wants to talk about Uniracers, which is a game developed by DMA Design. And published by Nintendo of America back in 1994. So I never heard of this game. There's a reason, as it turns out, that probably why I've not heard about this game. But
Because you're afraid of unicycles.
no, I don't care less about.
You have a oh my god. You have a unrational fear of I can't even speak. You know, the joke is dumb anyway. I'm not even going to say it.
Have you ever been on Uniracer?
Have I ever been a Uniracer?
Well, have you been on? Well, yes. But
Wait, did you ask? Have I ever been on a Uniracer? You mean a unicycle?
I was trying to ask if you were like a racer, but being on a cycle is the same thing. So yes.
No.
No.
I would fall flat on my face.
Yeah, I have a friend.
I can't even ride a bicycle.
Yeah, I have a
That's
friend who
the
had it
truth.
as a kid because he actually used it to help him. He actually used it to help him for a football practice because the bouncing skills that he got from using that little tiny even though silly riding it, but the bouncing skills he got for that helped him. He said quite a lot for football. So interesting, but
weird.
Yeah. Anyway,
when's the sequel coming out where you play football with the unicycles? Or
there will never be a sequel to this game for reasons we'll talk about here in a moment. But
because there's no such thing as unicycles, you're living in a fever dream.
Yeah, this is a very interesting game to say the least. Had you ever heard of play this game before, George?
I have actually, yes.
Yes, but you never had played it.
No.
Okay. Well, this game was developed by DMA Design, who we've covered recently in a recent podcast. This is the company now known as Rockstar North. This is the studio behind Lemmings.
Yes.
So since you've already covered DMA Design in some detail, we don't need to spend much time about it. I will say, however, that Lemmings, and I wish more company did this because this is awesome. There's available online the modern term is post-mortem, but I'm not sure. But I'm sure that term didn't apply, or hadn't been coined yet for this use back in the mid-90s.
I don't know.
The designers, developers behind the game, behind many DMA Design games actually, have online, which you can easily find, articles talking about the development and history of other games, including this one. So, and that's pretty sweet. I wish more companies did that because they made it pretty easy to find a lot of information from a very reliable source.
Yeah, a lot of that's done at GDC now,
Yes,
Game
yep.
Developers Conference.
Yep.
But
Right.
yeah, it's nice to see a postmortem on a game this old.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not sure that turbo really fits because they weren't using it back then, and there's no video. It's just like like an article talking about the game, but still, a lot of cool information on there. So, I would just so. There's more information in depth about the game's development, history, and tools used and whatnot on there. So if you want to, so if you're interested about that kind of stuff, I definitely encourage you to go check it out. There's be more information above and beyond, like we talk about here in the podcast. But essentially, as the name kind of implies, this is a game about racing. You're just racing around these riderless unicycles that are on 2D track. The courses are divided into two main types. There's a traditional racing courses where you race against another cycle. You're trying to get the finish line first. There's also the stunt races. We're trying to complete as many high point stunts as you can in the time by the time that the game gives you.
Yes.
The game is known as Uniracers in North America. The European name of the game is Unirally. I don't know why the name difference. I could not find anything about that.
I don't know. That's weird. Why
yeah.
would you? I mean, I honestly find that either name could be used in both territories.
Mm-hmm.
Because we would both understand it's not one of those things where rally is a term that we wouldn't understand or something.
Right, and the game was developed in Europe. But what's even more curious about that, like the game came out in North America first.
Right.
It came in North America in December '94, and then it get released in Europe until April '95. So go figure.
I will do that right now, Greg. I'll try to figure it out.
So the developers of DMA Design said that they were inspired a lot. They wanted to make a racing game, but they also wanted to make a racing game a bit different because racing games were really all the rage during this time period because F-Zero, the games like that. But they also wanted a game that they also wanted to create a game that could show off the system, not only graphically, but they were inspired a lot by Sonic. They wanted to see they could make a game that the game of the Super NES that could be as fast as Sonic was, because as most people know, the Super NES processor is slower than the Genesis one. So it was argued for a long time if Sonic could actually be done in the system. There have been some hacks, so they have some hacks of the game done in more recent years in Chinese territories, in which Sonic's been brought over to the Super NES, and it actually does. It actually does run pretty well. So,
you ever play that bootleg game Samari? It's like
no, not that one.
It's like a Famicom. It's weird. Mario's in Sonic shoes, and he's
conversely,
in Sonic levels.
Well, conversely, they have also hacked Mario, Mario World, around the Genesis. So.
Oh, geez. There's also that. I think the Russians did this one, but it's weird. It sounds like we're talking about government conspiracies or something. But there's a Russian Mario bootleg where they try to quote unquote recreate Super Mario World for the NES. Yeah, it's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But so we've talked about this before in the past. Programmers, good programmers, can really get around any kind of limitations the system has, and really kind of paper over the weaknesses of the system. So
unless the system has really bad limitations.
Well, yeah, of course, but
we're talking about the SNES. I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot you could do with this thing.
Yeah, yes, there is, and and this game definitely is fast. As far as that objective was, the developers definitely succeeded. This is one of the fastest Super NES games I remember playing, as a matter of fact. Because when you get going, there's definitely a sense of speed in this game. There definitely I mean, like, everything flows very smoothly, and it's like and the level design with some of the ways that the courses are arranged, it definitely feels like it definitely feels like a Sonic game in parts. I definitely got a very strong Sonic impression, like in this game. I'm not sure if you did also, George, but
That's weird. I totally did not.
really,
Yeah. Like, I mean, I get what you're saying with the speed and everything. I don't know. It just didn't really feel like Sonic or anything
I mean,
at all to me.
Some of the course tracks, like the way the courses like kind of like bend it over in themselves, like by 90 degrees, like the hills and whatnot.
The hills have eyes.
Yeah.
That'd be a scary game.
Yes, it would be. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not sure how many Sonic games that you played, but it definitely reminds me those course designs are very similar in some areas, like Sonic 1 and 2, as far as the actual, the loop-de-loops and the hills and that kind of stuff.
I know what you mean,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I just never got that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Am I the weird one here?
I don't know. Listeners, this is like feedback material.
Oh, great. You know everybody's going to say I'm stupid or something. Why is he even on the podcast?
She have comic relief, that's why.
Oh. I bet you he doesn't even play the games. Shh. My secret.
So yeah, as we mentioned before, the main gimmick for this game, besides the speed of the game, is the fact that you're actually using you're actually using like a unicycle as opposed to like a car.
No, you are the unicycle.
You literally are a sentient bike, like in this game. Yes.
Okay, now this game has just turned into a horror game. That is scary. That is.
Because you have like
That's a nightmare.
Because you have the seat, kind of the seat, like opportunity.
The seat's kind of like the head.
Yep, the head. Yep.
Huh.
So, but and
like
then
when you win a race, don't you like bow?
yes, yes, very cute.
It's weird. It's weird.
Not just bow. There's other like end of stage gimmicks that it does also.
Yeah, also kind of like dance or whatever.
Dances, hops around. That kind of stuff. Yeah, very cute. This whole game's very cute, actually.
You know what? Those animations when you like win a race or whatever, for some reason reminds me of like the Worms games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
The Worms games were done by. The Worms games were developed by. They weren't developed by the same company, were they?
No, Team 7 or whatever.
Okay, all right, yeah, but
yeah.
So
is there a Worms game on SNES?
I don't think so. I know.
Oh no. Okay. Well, there's one on PlayStation, so.
I definitely know that. I definitely know the PlayStation, like the N64, like have like Worms games. Yes.
Yes.
So,
yes. So we have some kind of outlet where we could talk about Worms.
Right. Exactly. So.
Yes. Do unicycles get worms?
I hope not.
Find out tonight.
They probably do need a heavy dose of WD-40, however, like you were saying, because
any kind of metal on metal contact.
Yeah.
At some point, you'll need some WD-40.
Yeah. So and as you go around the course, also the cycles themselves also change. Like when you bend, somebody going fast, like they bend over like a person would. Just to kind of show that extra speed they're getting on them. So, and there's also
some very nice touches in this game.
Yeah, the graphics in this game are really well done because they're simplistic. They're simplistic. On one hand, they're simplistic because the backgrounds of many stages are nothing really are not very special to write home about. They're just kind of like these blocky objects or like wavy lines or checkerboard patterns, that kind of stuff. So.
Honestly, this game almost looks like an independent game that came out now.
I could see that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. Some of the same tools involved, like for that matter, probably. But
Maybe.
Yeah. So the backgrounds are nothing special, but the foregrounds of the actual races going on are very nice. They're very sharply defined. The course is well covered. Your bikes are very distinctive looking. So there's no problem like being able to tell your bike apart like Napoleon's, like for example. And like we were saying before, the animations, whatnot, when you're doing the jumping, the stunts and whatnot, it's very cute.
Yeah, this game was like well thought out.
Yeah, well, yeah, because DMA Designs, they had they were a very good programming house, and this wasn't their first Super NES games. They definitely knew how the system worked at this point. So
Right, but creating a racing game that's unique and then like, oh, what are we gonna use? I don't know. Why don't we do unicycles? Oh, okay. What are we gonna do? You know, it's pretty creative. It's, you know, super unique. They could have just been like, I don't know, you make cars and it's top down. And I don't know. Let's just copy RC Pro Am or whatever.
right.
You know.
So the racing courses and stunt courses actually do connect to one another. I'm not sure if you had picked up on this, George, but if you do better in the stunt races, like you're able to get like more points, for doing them. For example, it gives your bonuses for the regular racing courses by making it go faster. Like for example, or some other like bonuses as well also. So,
I thought it was just you had to do the stunts while racing to go faster.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that also, but like you're.
I didn't know doing this. I didn't know doing stunts in the stunt races gave you better speed as well.
As long as you,
huh?
Like as long as you go over the minimum point, like point balance required. Yes. So.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
I have mixed feelings about the actual stunt races, stunt courses of this game. I like the fact they're here because it's a very nice change of pace compared to compared to the regular like racing around the course as fast as you can kind of like thing that most racing games have. But and the stunts are pretty simple to pull off themselves. The problem is that actually trying to nail them correctly and accurately, it can be like very difficult because you have a very limited amount of time and a very limited amount of space to work with. So
yeah, this game is a lot of getting the muscle memory and whatnot.
That's a good way of it's a very good way of describing it. The game starts off fairly easy, but some of the courses get very difficult. It's like very soon after that. So you definitely.
I'm very bad at this game.
Right. Yeah. Well.
What is yeah supposed to mean?
Well, it's a tough game.
What does that mean?
I was agreeing with you.
I agree. You're terrible at video games. Oh man, Craig.
No, the actual racing courses themselves, I didn't. I didn't have too much problem with it. At least for the first at least the ones in the first tours. We're talking about how the game is broken up here like in a moment, but I definitely had problems like with the stunt races part of it. So because, like I said,
I think I was better with the stunt stuff compared to racing.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot in this game. There's 9 tours available to you, 5 tracks each, which is broken up of 2 races, 2 circuits. And a stunt course, like each one. So each one's like 45. There's 45 tracks total. Total in this game.
It's not bad.
Yeah. For this time period, for 16-bit system, definitely very good. So, I mean, it's more than like F-Zero had. It's more than like what the like racing games had. So, and the courses themselves, as we're talking about, are fairly quick. Fairly quick. Like if you're good at it and know what to do, but you definitely probably will be playing them a few times until you learn the lay of the land and figure out what you
the
do.
The thing that really makes it hard though is because you can't just race and win. You have to go and get that speed boost from doing tricks and whatnot.
Yep.
The problem is learning when to do them because there are times where you do them and you totally set yourself up for the fall, and that's essentially the end of the race. So I think the most common trick that people do is the they jump and then they do the front flip or the back flip.
Yes.
Or
Yep.
the-
Yeah.
I think it's called a roll in the game or whatever.
Yes. Yep. That's right.
And people like you can usually quickly do that and you'll get a good speed boost.
Right.
But yeah.
I probably should define the differences between like three different courses here real quick. Race course contain checkpoints that you have to cross. Such you have to cross every now and then. Whereas like circuit courses have a set number of laps, and the race ends after you complete the required amount of laps that course has. Usually like 2 or 3 is the usual amount of laps you have to do like these courses. These are also shorter than the race courses are, but both races and circuit courses you have to defeat your opponents. Whereas stunt courses, of course, the ones that we were just talking about, that you have to do the stunts with a set amount of points.
Yep.
So, yeah, very good variety here. I appreciate the fact this game has 3 different kind of courses in it. So, you do have some choice in picking your racer. There's 16 different racers available in the game. They all have different colors. They all have different names. And you can rename them in the option menu also, which is a nice touch. There's no difference.
You can put bad words.
Mostly bad words. We'll get to that later on, but
Oh, now I want to hear more about this.
there's a secret about that later on in the game, which
Ooh.
we'll talk about here when we get to the secrets, hints, and codes for this game. But so the difference. So there's not many differences between the different between the cycles, except for the color. The only difference is that it when you complete a trick, each cycle will have a different phrase that it'll say on screen when you finish that trick. So that and color is really the only differences between them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's slight differences. I mean, they're not anything don't feel bad that you didn't see what.
Right.
But,
I just didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I went yellow because yellow's my favorite color, and yellow rocks.
No, yellow's for bananas.
Bananas rock too.
No, they have potassium.
I have a bunch sitting in my fridge right now, as a matter of fact.
I'm jealous, actually.
Well, they're cheap. But anyway, yeah. So that's the only difference, between them. There's also multiplayer mode. Two different kinds of multiplayer mode available in this game. You can play with a friend in split screen 2-player mode. There's also available a league mode where 8 people take turns competing against one another competing against one another a one-on-one race.
Yeah, we didn't get to do the multiplayer.
No, but it's okay because nowadays I have a hard time playing split screen games.
Why is that?
I find it to be very hard to focus upon my side of the screen, and because I'm seeing the peripheral.
Because you're looking at the other person's screen, you cheater.
And because it's also because I'm also seeing what's going on with the peripheral, my eyes, of the other part of the screen, and that kind of causes me to get some it's causing me some nausea.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't really get motion sick very easily, but something about split screen games, at least on smaller TV sets and monitors. I think if I was playing this on maybe a 60-inch television set, the size would minimize that effect. But
you want to get motion sickness? Play games in VR.
So I've heard, yes. But
oh man, that's really bad. I don't get motion sick at all, but
very rarely I get motion sick. But so I mean, split screens, split screen games are pretty much the only things that do it to me.
That's interesting.
Having said that, I can see somebody get motion sick a little bit playing this game because there are some very
because
there are some very intense what's the word I'm looking for, action parts in some of the races. You like loopy loops and fast jumps and that kind of stuff going on. So the screen can, the game scrolls very well, but there's some very but there's some very some quick graphic camera cutaways and whatnot. So I definitely can see somebody who's sensitive getting some motion sickness with this game.
Just slow down the frame rate then.
Also, something else here to help spice the game up is there's also the track itself is made up of patterns on them, which correspond to the track's properties at they added near that point. So I'm not sure if you saw. I'm not sure if you made the connection like all these, George, because I didn't make the connection with some of them until I looked them up. But for example, a solid yellow bar will indicate a shortcut, an orange yellow bar will indicate an upcoming hazard. There's also obstacles like speed ups, corkscrews, loops and twists and that kind of stuff as well too. So
right, yeah, I didn't realize some of those.
Yeah. The very last tour, which I did not get you by the way, also introduces a new gimmick, also known as the game's cheating at you. The game's cheating on you like at this point. The anti-uni which is a computer-controlled opponent, and if you touch it by accident during that in a race in that last tour, it'll cause several odd effects to happen, such as like track becoming invisible, the controls reversing, and the background no longer moving in sync with the actions.
That sounds terrible.
It does sound terrible. Yeah, like I said, the game's cheats at this point, so they don't want you to win. Having said that, we did mention, however, the courses themselves are somewhat short if you know what you're doing. The long play of this game on YouTube is on YouTube for this game is just over 3 hours long. So not that long if you know what you're doing. But yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of content.
There's a lot of content.
I would argue it's pretty good for the original price.
Yeah, it is, and the game does have some replayability because you have to get there are medals, gold, silver, and bronze. Then you're required to get a certain number of certain types of medals to advance from circuit to circuit. So. Yeah. There is some replayability in this game as well, because you're trying to get the game has battery, so it does save your best times. So there's an incentive about beating your own. So it's like there's an incentive like beating your best time, like whatnot. So which is pretty cool. So
I'm not that kind of guy.
Yeah.
I'm not somebody who would sit there and play Mario Kart on N64 or whatever and do the ghost mode or whatever, do the time trials and try to beat my time or whatever.
So you may you may realize this after the fact. I've said this, George, but the game was apparently developed with the same workstations the Silicon Graphics also used for Donkey Kong Country.
Right.
So. And I can't see that. I mean, there definitely are some graphical similarities between the two games.
Yes, kind of.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, so the game got mixed reviews when it came out. It was a very polarizing game, like looks like, because it's like
it started wars.
Well, there's just that nobody seems to be in agreement. It's like the overall, the overall things about this game. So, let me give you an example. Game Pro's review, like most of their major magazines who covered this game back then, was mixed. They praised the fast pace. They praised the music. We haven't talked about the music. So we've talked about the music yet. The music in the game is very good. It fits the game. It fits the game very well. It's very super niche in the sense that it sounds like it makes good use of the sound chip and the unique abilities of the sound chip.
That's Sony hardware.
Yep. So, but they criticized the sound effects and they also criticized the graphics, remarking the graphics, like remarking that all the backgrounds are clean but boring looking. It's like all the unicycles like look identical. So I kind of see that because you mentioned earlier the backgrounds are very plain and simple. I mean, there's not very much to them. So
yeah, but I would argue that saying the graphics aren't good in this game is kind of silly.
Yeah.
The unicycles look great, and it's a simplistic game. It's not supposed to be. This is not supposed to be like some crazy tech demo or whatever. Oh, look, it's mode 7. Like, it's not supposed to be like anything crazy, but like for what it is, like the unicycles and everything look really good.
Yeah.
Who reviewed the game? Burn them. Burn them at stake.
Well, in the end, GamePro did recommend the game, saying it was addictive. So, I mean, Next Generation also had very mixed thoughts about this game. They were basically saying that the Uniracers is a very innovative and unique concept, but the surface dullness kind of hurts it some, and the excitement and novelty of the game wear off after a while. So
yeah, no, I definitely know that feeling.
Yeah, but in the end, they gave the game 3.4 out of 5.
That's not bad. It's pretty good.
And the EGM also said that it kind of lacked the charm of some of DMA's other games. But they also said there's gonna be a cult following for the game because it's a very unique racing game, which I certainly agree with. So, and that and when the controls were very good. We haven't talked about that. The controls of this game are very good. I didn't have a problem with them at all. They felt responsive. The bike handled well, so kudos for that. So they did mention that the graphics and controls are all very good. The game does something that has excitement after a while. So they have to give the game a 5.5 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's less than 3.4 out of 5.
Yeah, very mixed games. Entertainment Weekly pretty much said some of the same things, but they kind of concluded that the game's kind of, the game's really best with kids, which I kind of agree with because this is a very good kid game, I think, because it's very bright, very colorful.
It's definitely kid friendly, but
definitely, yeah. So
it depends, it depends on what age range you're talking about.
Sure,
because
right, yeah.
I don't know if it's just me, but if you're talking about, oh, it's very colorful, it's perfect for kids, it's are you talking about 3-year-olds? Because I don't feel like vibrant colors really matter much when you get into older child ranges. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I'm no science-ster, but this is how I feel.
Well, when somebody says kids, I usually think about this. Well, for some reason, with me at least, I usually think about the 6 to 12 range. So
that's what I think of too. But
yeah. I
don't know. It just feels like, oh, it has vibrant colors and it moves a lot. I don't know. I feel like that's something that's for maybe 4 and younger. I don't know. I don't have a kid. I don't know anyone who I don't have any friends who have kids or whatever. I'm not in contact with kids, I should say.
Right.
That's not because of law. Let's just being honest here. It's just because I don't have the chance.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's fine. But yeah, this game is very unique. I really can't think of any of the unicycle games that are out there. So.
Oh geez, isn't there I know there's no actual quote unquote unicycle video games, but there are some games that have unicycle stuff in, but I don't think it's big production games. Someone's some of those weird flash games, but I think Happy Wheels has a character with a unicycle or something.
I've never even heard of that game.
Oh geez, Happy Wheels is a weird flash game where it's kind of like Uniracers in a way where you have to get from point A to point B and you have to do it as quickly as possible, but there's other stuff going on. I don't know.
Interesting. But okay. So there's
it's a weird and gory game as well. You fall off your bike or whatever, and then your hiking gets smashed in. And... Yeah, you should take a look at it. Greg.
So there was a very interesting story about this game, also as well, which I found out when doing the research on the game's development. That I had no idea about this. That it actually happened. This game was involved in a lawsuit.
The Unicycle Riders of America sued the development company because they said that, hey, unicycles aren't sentient. That's not right. Unicycles are tools, and I don't know. What was the reason?
You actually hit upon a small bit of proof there with that. Pixar sued DMR.
Oh, that's right. I heard about this.
They sued DMA Design shortly after the game came out, saying that they copied the unicycle design and concept from their the 1987 short film Red's Dream. Which, I never heard of that movie, so I looked it up online.
It's like a short, right?
Yeah, it is. I couldn't.
That's so weird. Like, hey, you copied our generic design of a unicycle. It's a unicycle.
That was pretty much.
There's already a design for it. That doesn't make any sense.
That was pretty much DMA's defense, to the lawsuit.
Samsung suing like an animator because they put a TV in their like webcomic or something, but they didn't brand it. But it's like, that looks like our TVs. It's like, it's just a TV. A TV is a TV.
Anyway, I could not find the actual film available online, but I did see some pictures.
I'm very surprised you can't watch it online now. That's weird.
So. Yeah, the unicycles do look very close to that one in Red Dream. I will give them that much. But then again, like you just said, how many ways can you depict a unicycle? I mean,
it has one wheel. We're suing you. You're copying our design.
So eventually, this lawsuit, like many lawsuits, the vast majority of lawsuits actually, will sit out of court, and they reached an agreement. The agreement was that
they don't make unicycle games anymore.
You're half right. Nintendo, DMA Design, Nintendo, who's the publisher of this game, agreed that they manufactured an initial run of 300,000 copies of the game, and they agreed that no more copies of that game could be made. So,
great.
So they'd be allowed to keep selling the game. Until that batch ran out, but after it ran out, they couldn't do any more copies. So that's why. So 300,000 copies is not a rare rare game.
No, we're talking about DMA Design.
No, I mean compared to some other Super NES game runs that are smaller, 300,000 copies does not make this a rare game. It does make it like an uncommon game. And that affects pricing, which will get you here on the podcast later on in a bit. So that's why there's going to be a sequel to this game, George, because of the fact that they're probably afraid to get sued again. So, interesting. So, I mentioned some cheat codes earlier, George. There are several cheat codes that are available in this game. There's one code you can do which will delete everything that's in the memory. So you can wipe all the scores off the game pack if you want to, for whatever reason.
Doesn't sound like much of a cheat.
There's also code that will let you. There's also code that you can use to see the ending. And
there's an ending?
Yeah. Yep. There's an ending. And there's also some restrictions about the names you can the names you can use to rename your cycle. I kind of alluded to this earlier. DMA Design poked some fun at Sega of this. Even though the game does have some Sonic influences to it. If you try to change your bike name to either Sega or Sonic as a name, the actual name of the actual name of the cycle that you'll see when you race, like, will be like not cool enough.
Wow. Okay.
Satan apparently also gives you the same response.
Okay.
So interesting.
Very.
There's also a trick you can do in this game to get you like win the game with a gold medal. When you only get a silver medal on it, so you can use that to advance the game like very rapidly if you want to make the game easier for you. So that's another like cool trick you can do in this game. I do have a couple of quick tips and tricks I can give I can give to folks out there who've not played this game. I usually don't do this, but I figured that since but I figure that since Uniracers is such like an uncommon game, that maybe these like hints will help a little bit. We already mentioned paying attention to the color of the track, because the fact that kind of gives you clues what's coming, that kind of stuff. Stunts also are very helpful and critical to do because they help you reach top speed. And like F-Zero, I'm not sure if you picked up on this, George. You can hold down the Y button when the race starts. To give your cycle like a quick burst ahead to start the race.
No, I didn't know that. Jeez.
Yeah,
that would have been helpful.
So, but pricing. I mentioned before about eBay. 300,000 copies would make for an uncommon game, like I said before. But the price of this game is actually like pretty cheap. Despite that, probably because this game is not well known. It's not that like well known. It's kind of like not super popular. 64 copies of the game are currently listed on eBay. 68 copies I recently sold. And this is actually one of the cheaper games, at least in card only version, because you really don't need the manual for this game anyway. The car pricing I think is like very cheap for Super NES pricing that you've ever done so far with this podcast. So these prices include shipping. The average prices carts have sold for this game anywhere from $6.25 to $18.50.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, not bad.
CIB is all over the place like usual. They have gone for as low as $25. They have gone as high as like $70.
Too much.
So
those loose prices are pretty good for what you get out of the game.
Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah. I can understand definitely like why Chad likes this game so much because you enjoy racing games. This is a very fun, unique take on a racing game.
Very unique.
Yeah. Because how many times you get to race like cycles around? Like not very often. So, I could see somebody who's not even I could see somebody who's not even like a big racing game fan having some fun with this one too because it's like so unique. Like the graphics, the graphics and the gameplay and that kind of stuff. So, I can agree with some of the negative parts about this game. I think the replayability of this game is probably like limited. And some of the courses especially later on in the game, can get very frustrating. And I wish the backgrounds had some more spice to them rather than just being the simple background obstacles and objects that they are like whatnot. But still, for what it is, I think I think DMA Design succeeded in making like a very unique, fun, challenging racing game. And this definitely is one of the faster games in the system. So if you want to see an example of what the process you can do when it's like when somebody programs it who knows what they're doing, this is a very good game to look at, like for an example.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add on to that, George, about your final take about this game?
So, I mean, this game is, and we keep saying it, but this game is pretty unique.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is kind of an era where, like, a lot of stuff hasn't been tried yet. So, I don't know. I feel like maybe more fresh ideas came out of this era because the further we get into video games, it seems like the more each video game kind of seems the same.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
but that's
Like,
going back to the
all
early
these-
80s too. So.
All these shooters just like seem the same, or all these racers seem the same. But like, this game was just like, hey, instead of like cars or whatever else has been done, like why don't we try unicycles? I don't know. It's a unique game. It looks pretty. It's a cool game. I don't know. I'm very bad at this game, but I like it. It's got a nice design, but like it's also simplistic. So it's not very confusing. It's just more skill based than anything, and it also it doesn't have like the Mario Kart thing where you can get items or whatever to like either help you give yourself a boost or try to knock back
not
enemies
items,
or
but
whatever.
there are-
This is
Yeah, well, not items, but there are several track effects. That can
right, but that's part of the track.
Right.
Like everybody gets to that point at some point.
right. Yeah.
This game's really skill based, so that's pretty cool.
So. Yeah. So. Yeah. Definitely an interesting game. I think that this is. Like I said. Like anybody who enjoys the racing games, or they're like even if you're just like a casual fan of racing games, definitely you definitely should like check this out because like it's pretty fun. So, it's too bad. It's too bad the lawsuit kind of like limited the actual production run of this game because maybe it would have sold better. But in any event, like it is what it is. So, like I mentioned before, this was a pick from Chad, who's one of our Patreon backers. So I want to thank Chad again very much for supporting the podcast. I also want to thank Richard this time, who's also a Patreon backer. So if you'd like to be like them, find a dictated game, like for us to play, we have that available as one of several tiers on our tiers available on our Patreon, which is the Patreon, which can be found at www.patreon.com/the SNES podcast. You can also get other perks like your early release of the episodes, getting your name shouted out in the episode like we just did, and some other stuff like that. So, we are a proud member of both the Retro Junkies Throwback Networks, where you can find a whole bunch of other great retro-themed podcasts, both gaming and non-gaming related. We're also available on iTunes, and we also have a Facebook page where you'd be more than welcome to give us likes, comments, suggestions, that kind of stuff. Or if you want to reverse the social media for whatever reason, and if you want to email us directly, you can do so at the SNES podcast at yahoo.com. George, if somebody wants to heap praise or disdain upon you, how can they do so?
Oh boy. Well, if you want to tell me I'm awesome, you can do that. If you want to say otherwise, then get out of here. No, you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Chief. That's at MISTURCHEEF. And fun times. Sometimes talking about weird stuff I'm doing. Like weird video game stuff.
Speaking about weird video games, you have kind of like a weirdish game picked up for us to cover next time, don't you?
I wouldn't say it's really weird. Just kind of different in a sense. I don't know. Tetris Battle Gaiden. It's a Japanese-only game, bulletproof software.
Yeah, there's several Tetris games that don't came out in like Japan for some reason. I'm not sure what's up with that.
No idea.
But yeah, this is one of them. And of course, being Japan only, I've not played it, so I'm looking forward to trying it out.
Gotta get on that Japan train.
Yep. But
that bullet train, the bullet train to awesome Gamesville.
So I guess the main gimmick of this game is, like I said, it's like 2-player mode only. There's no single-player mode.
Something like that.
So, yeah. Okay. So, anyway, so we'll talk about it like in depth next time. So
yeah.
As always, like I very much appreciate you listening to this podcast. Thank you for support. We have some. We're trying to arrange some more special guest episodes coming up. Coming up in the near future. So stay tuned for that. And as always, we certainly appreciate you taking the hour or so to listen to us ramble about this old video game. So thanks again everybody out there for listening, and we'll catch you again next time.
Eep, eep, eep. No one got me that WD-40. What's going on? Call the intern in. Fire him. Fire the intern.
That'd be you.
What? I am no intern, sir. Fine, I didn't want to be a part of this podcast anyway. Anyway, goodbye.
Nintendo controls 80% of the video market. But no matter how you play the game, or which game you play, things definitely have come a long way since Pac-Man.
Now you're playing with power. Super power.